Single parenting can feel like a solo journey, but it doesn't have to be. Introducing MomFlex app, the ultimate village web app designed just for you. From financial support to community connections, MomFlex app offers a lifeline, helping you navigate parenting with confidence. Find trusted resources, build your support networks, and thrive, because every parent deserves a village. Join the movement today. Visit momflex.org to install the app and take the first step toward a stronger, more supported you. MomFlex app, because you're never alone.
Every day's a battle, every step a climb, but we're standing tall, we're building our lives. Through the sleepless nights and the endless fight, we rise, we shine, we hold on tight. We are more than the labels, more than the pain, breaking the cycle, rewriting the game. Stronger together, we lift, we strive. Single parents, we rise and thrive. Beyond the struggle, we rise and thrive. Turning our pain into power, we're alive. We see you, you matter, you're strong inside. Together we shine, we rise, we thrive. Stories of triumph, stories of grace. Single parents with dreams to chase. They said we'd break, they said we'd fall, but look at us now, we're standing tall. We are more than the labels, more than the pain, breaking the cycle, rewriting the game. Stronger together, we lift, we strive. Single parents, we rise and thrive.
Hello, and welcome back to Beyond the Struggle, Rise and Thrive. I'm your host, La Fortune, and today we are diving into a really layered conversation: cancel culture and generational trauma, breaking the cycles as single parents. Now, that's a long title. This episode is about more than just internet culture or what's trending online. It's about a deeper human story, the way cancel culture mirrors how families and communities sometimes handle conflict, pain, or difference. When we talk about cancel culture, we often think about someone being publicly shamed, excluded, or silenced. But if we look closer, we see that these same patterns can show up in our own homes and family histories. Many of us, me included, were raised in environments where mistakes weren't met with compassion or guidance, but with silence, rejection, or punishment. That's generational trauma at work. As single parents, we stand at a unique crossroads. We have the opportunity to recognize these inherited cycles of shame, silence, and disconnection, and decide if we want to keep passing them on or if we want to disrupt them and build something healthier for our children. So in this conversation, in this solo conversation, I'm going to unpack how cancel culture and generational trauma intersect, why this matters so deeply for single parents like myself, and most importantly, what practical steps we can take to break these cycles. Because the truth is, healing doesn't start with society at large. It starts in our own homes, in our parenting, and in the way we choose to show up for our children. So, my friends, grab your cup of coffee, tea, or whatever you like to sip on, and let's get into it, shall we? When people talk about cancel culture, they usually mean someone being publicly shamed or rejected for a mistake, a misstep, or even an old belief. But if we look deeper, cancel culture is not new. It didn't start with social media, hashtags, or viral call-outs. Many of us grew up in homes where cancel culture was alive and well. It just wasn't called that. Think about it. Just take a minute and think about it. A child speaks up about something painful and the parent shuts them down with, "We don't talk about that in this house." A teenager makes a mistake and instead of being guided or taught, they are branded the problem child. That label sticks and soon it becomes their whole identity in the family. Worse, family members cut each other off completely instead of sitting down to work through the hurt. Silence replaces conversation. Exile replaces accountability. And the pain gets passed down instead of being healed. That, my friend, is generational cancel culture. It's the quiet, unspoken version that happens behind closed doors, at the kitchen table, in family gatherings, where some topics are off limits and some people are written out of the story. Like, we don't talk about Bruno. No, right? And as single parents, many of us find ourselves standing in that tension. We know what it feels like to be dismissed, to be shamed, or to carry the weight of someone else's silence. And now, raising our children, we are faced with a choice. Do we unconsciously repeat those patterns, or do we rewrite the script, the story? Rewriting the story doesn't mean we excuse harmful behaviors. It means we replace punishment with guidance. We replace silence with conversation, however difficult they are. We replace exile with healthy boundaries and opportunities to grow, for growth. It means we choose healing over cancellation, especially within our own families. Generational trauma is the emotional inheritance passed down, sometimes without words, sometimes without even realizing it. It's the unspoken lessons that seep into us through actions, silence, and patterns we witness growing up. And it shows up everywhere in how we love, how we discipline, how we trust, and even in the way we see ourselves in the world. I'll give you an example. I know a mother who was raised in a home where mistakes were made, not with teaching, but with silence and punishment. If she broke a dish, her father wouldn't yell, but he wouldn't speak to her for days. That silence was supposed to teach her a lesson, but what it really taught her was something deeper, that she was invisible when she wasn't perfect, that love could be withdrawn at any moment, that mistakes made her unworthy of connection. Fast forward to when she became a single mom. One day, her young son spilled juice all over her laptop. Her first instinct wasn't reason or patience. It was withdrawal. Her whole body wanted to go quiet, to shut down, to repeat what was modeled to her. That's the power of generational trauma. It sneaks into our reactions before we even have a chance to think. But she caught herself in that instant when those thoughts were sneaking in. She realized that in that moment, she had a choice. She could pass the silence forward that she received as a child, or she could do something different. Instead of pulling away, she took a deep breath and said, "I'm upset right now, but I love you. Let's clean this up together." The small shift from punishment to connection was a breakthrough for her. It didn't just change that moment, it started changing her own story. That's how generational trauma begins to heal. It's not always in the big dramatic actions. Sometimes it's in the teeny choices, like the choice she made for her child at that moment, the pauses she made, the breath she took before she reacted. When we choose connection over silence, guidance over shame, presence over withdrawal, that's when we start to break the cycle. And every time we do that, we are not only healing ourselves, we are rewriting the trauma that was passed down to us, to our children. Cancel culture thrives on punishment, but punishment doesn't teach. Accountability does. For us single parents, that means we don't have to counsel our kids when they make mistakes. We don't have to repeat what our parents or society did to us. Instead, we can create safe spaces for dialogue. Just close your eyes for a second and imagine this. Your teenager lies about where they have been. Instead of saying, you can't be trusted, I am done with you, you sit them down and say, help me understand why you felt you couldn't tell me the truth. That doesn't excuse the behavior, but it opens a door to teaches. It teaches responsibility and honesty without the shame. Breaking cycles isn't only about how we parent, it's about how we heal ourselves too. Many single parents are carrying that way, that judgment that society pass on. Single mothers mostly are often judged more than single dads. We are told we are either not enough or too much. That shame is a form of cultural cancellations. When we refuse to accept those labels, when we stand in our worth, we show our children what resilience is like. I spoke to a single parent who was constantly told he was incapable of raising his daughter, on his own. Instead of shrinking, he kept showing up for every school play, every doctor's visit, every bedtime story. Over time, his daughter grew up knowing love and presence matter more than other people's opinion. And that was the moment the cycle was broken too. So how do we push past cancel culture and heal generational trauma? We need to learn to pause before reacting. We need to learn to notice, take deep breath and notice the instant when we are withdrawing, when we want to punish, when we want to shame, and ask ourselves, is this mine or is this inherited? We need to be able to learn to name our feelings. We need to be able to tell our child, I'm frustrated with you right now, but I'm here. And that builds trust with your child. We need to be able to learn to tell our story, to share bits of our childhood struggles, so our children know that mistakes don't end. No, mistakes don't end with love. They build it. We need to model forgiveness for ourselves and for our children. We need to apologize when we mess up. Kids learn from seeing us own up to our own flaws than pretending we don't have any. We need to seek support. Healing generational trauma doesn't happen alone. Therapy, support groups, faith, or community can make the difference in that. Cancel culture wants us to believe that mistakes define us forever, that one misstep erases all the good, that one wrong moment overshadows an entire lifetime of growth. It thrives on finality, on saying you are mistake and you will never be more than that. Generational trauma whispers a similar lie. It tells us that the past is set in stone, that the pain handed down to us is ours to carry forever, and that no matter how hard we try, we will end up repeating the same cycle. It convinces us that what was done to us is all we will ever know how to do. But generational trauma is wrong. The truth is, single parents, you are living proof that cycles can be broken. You are proof that even when life doesn't go as planned, resilience is possible. You are rewriting your story, not just for yourself, but for your children and for every generation that comes after them. So every time you choose to pause before reacting, every time you replace silence with conversation, every time you decide that love is stronger than shame, you are breaking centuries of unspoken rules. You are showing your children that their worth isn't tied to perfection and that healing is possible even in the face of pain. And yes, it's hard work. Some days it feels easier to repeat what was modeled for us than to carve a new path. But every small shift you make matters. You are planting seeds of change in your children that will grow long after this moment. I want to leave you with this quote. Trauma is not your fault, but healing is your responsibility. Breaking cycles begins with you. So as you go about your day today, remember this. You are not defined by what happened to you, and neither are your children. You have the power to stop the cycle, to create something new, and to model what real healing looks like. And that is one of the greatest gifts you can give, not just to your children, but to yourself. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Beyond the Struggle, Rise and Thrive. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another parent who might need a reminder that they are not alone. Until next time, keep rising, keep thriving, and keep breaking those cycles. Ciao now.
Every day's a battle, every step a climb, but we're standing tall, we're building our lives. Through the sleepless nights and the endless fight, we rise, we shine, we hold on tight. We are more than the labels, more than the pain, breaking the cycle, rewriting the game. Stronger together, we lift, we strive. Single parents, we rise and thrive. Beyond the struggle, we rise and thrive. Turning our pain into power, we're alive. We see you, you matter, you're strong inside. Together we shine, we rise, we thrive. Stories of triumph, stories of grace. Single parents with dreams to chase. They said we'd break, they said we'd fall, but look at us now, we're standing tall. We are more than the labels, more than the pain, breaking the cycle, rewriting the game. Stronger together, we lift, we strive. Single parents, we rise and thrive. Beyond the struggle, we rise and thrive. Turning our pain into power, we're alive. We see you, you matter, you're strong inside. Together we shine, we rise, we thrive. We push through the stigma, defy every step. They don't define us, and that's a fact. A village of love, a future so bright. Hand in hand, we own our life. Beyond the struggle, we rise and thrive. Turning our pain into power, we're alive. We see you, you matter, you're strong inside. Together we shine, we rise, we thrive. The journey